Hey folks, welcome back to Honey Money SG. How are you feeling right now after the end of May? We suffered at least 2 months of pain within the stock market because everything was so bearish and sentiments was really bad. In fact, I even told you all in this video over here about my urgent warning during this market crash. So I think sentiments was really bearish that time. But you know, out of all this negativity and bearish news, I actually have something positive to talk about, and that is my Phillip SMART Portfolio. Now, if you don't know what Phillip SMART Portfolio is, don't rush, because I'm just going to tell you I don't know much about it either until I started using them since May. In fact, I started using Phillip SMART Portfolio since the 1st of May. And I saw that my money didn't get invested and I was a bit anxious. Turns out that there were actually professional managers managing my portfolio, and they felt that maybe that time wasn't the best time to invest in the current bear market sentiments. So now I'm still proud to say, even though the market has been really bearish throughout the entire May, my Phillip SMART Portfolio still came out positive month to date. So what is exactly the Phillip SMART Portfolio? To put it simply, it's another RoboAdvisor, and it's a kind of investment service that finds the best fit portfolio according to your level of risk. I think we are not unfamiliar with that, right? Basically, when we are doing a RoboAdvisor, we want to choose like what's the level of risk that we can undertake. So for the Smart Portfolio, no difference. You have R1, R2 and R3. R3 being the highest risk and R1 being the lowest risk. So R1 is more for generating a kind of passive income. You do want like low risk, low return, just slightly better than inflation, and that's good enough. R2 is more for the moderate risk, meaning that you can go into higher risk investments compared to the R1. So it has a higher focus on growth investments as well as a little bit of income investments. Whereas for R3, which is what I selected, is basically 100% into the growth investments. And of course, that would actually come with higher fluctuation because of the risk that you can stomach during times of volatility. Of course, the good thing about using a Phillip SMART Portfolio is that you can start from as low as $300 a month. And I think $300 is actually quite manageable, right? Even if you are a young working adult, I'm sure $300 every month is something that you can spare and then put into a passive instrument for other people to manage for you, so that you don't have to look at the stock market prices every day feeling emotional about the current bear market. And the good thing about Smart Portfolio is that it comes with no commission fees, no platform fees, no performance fees, no other kind of fees, but there is only management fee, which is 0.5% per annum. I'm sure we can all say that 0.5% is fairly cheap for a robo-advisor. If we are comparing with the current robo-advisor market, I think averagely they charge around 0.6% per annum. If you're using cash to invest, that means excluding your CPF and SRS investments, because those are all lower costs. But in terms of using cash, I think 0.6% per annum is the market rate right now. So for Smart Portfolio, it's just 0.1% cheaper per annum. So what do the Smart Portfolio invest in? I can give you the list here. The Smart Portfolio primarily uses a cyborg methodology in managing the portfolio and invests primarily in unit trusts listed on major stock exchanges across geographic regions, sectors and asset classes. It may also invest in ETFs, closed-ended funds, investment trusts, business trusts and exchange traded notes. So what does the cyborg methodology means is that there's actually an algorithm built in-house by their data scientists, and they actually kind of collect data daily and compute a kind of algorithm that cannot be simply interpreted by a human level. So you're almost like using a robot to pick your positions instead of human. And therefore, there are strict position limits for risk management put in place to ensure optimization for investment performance. And why should we use Phillip SMART Portfolio? Let's take a look at the track performance. If we look at the year-to-date performance, which was last recorded 31st of March 2022, you can see that for the R1 portfolio, it returned 4.4%, R2 5%, and R3 6.1%. If that is not impressive, I think you don't know what the current market return is, because the S&P 500 almost fell into the bear market territory, and Nasdaq was just correcting all the way down since the start of the year. So I'm pretty sure if you actually manage to get a positive return this year, you are outperforming so many professional investors, or even the market, you are outperforming them. So that is something that actually got me into trying out Phillip SMART Portfolio. Are they really that good? Are they really better than the market? And so far, like I mentioned in my introduction, I talk about my May performance. I expected that I put in money in May, $300. For sure, it will be dropping to at least $280, $290. But it didn't. It maintained at around $300, and at the high point, it was even like $305. Now, in terms of dollars and percentage wise, you may think that It's nothing. It almost never grew, so what is so good about it? But let me give you in comparison how much has the S&P 500 fallen just month to date. And you can see from this chart, the month to date S&P 500 has fallen between 3 to 4%. So for my smart portfolio to be maintaining at around $300 range, I think it's quite impressive already. I'm going to give them a little bit more time to prove what they can perform. And now I will show you my smart portfolio platform so that you can see what did they buy during this entire month of May. Alright folks, so this is actually the Phillip Wealth Management, which is the main platform that you can use for your Phillip investment products. You can see that I have two accounts here. One is for my Boyon's Cash Plus account, and this is under my Phillip Smart Portfolio account. As you can see here, I have chosen the Phillip Smart Portfolio for R3 risk, and that means growth, right? I did not choose for the R1 or R2, so that is more like income and growth. So let's get started with some of the details, right? I started with around 300 Singapore dollars of invested capital. Right now, the portfolio value is around $301.32. The management fee is around 0.5% per annum. So currently, it is still a positive gain as of the current date of recording. So if I click on this button, which is the holdings tab, I can see what has my Phillip Smart Portfolio invested in so far. So these are my current holdings. You can see that for my smart portfolio, it's mainly invested in the Asian equity markets. For example, like the Indonesia Equity Fund, Malaysian Equity Fund, Singapore Equity Fund, and Lion Global Thailand Fund. And so far, based on the average cost that was invested, it is still positive for my last done price. So I would say fairly good for the market timing on Phillip part for now. But you can note that I still have some uninvested cash of around $96 put into the money market fund. So only around $200 over is invested, and I have the remaining $96 not invested yet and is placed in the money market fund. So you can see that there's actually very active management on Phillip Smart Portfolio part. They do hire like professional managers to manage your money. So it's definitely not like a passive investing strategy. You are paying the fund managers to help you do investing on your behalf. Now on the transaction tab wise, you can see that I funded my portfolio since the early start of May, but in fact a majority part of May I have seen no transactions because most of the funds are placed in cash, and I still see my balance of $300 for a few days until the 19th of May, where Phillip started to take action and bought in some Aberdeen funds and Lion Global funds in the Asian equity market. So I would say that if you see your funds being placed in Phillip Smart Portfolio but nothing has been done, do not worry. They are just doing their own due diligence and whether it is time to put the money into the markets. So initially I was quite worried, right? Because I did have $300 placed but nothing was done. So I thought I needed to initiate something or what. But fret not, I think everything is automatic placed on Phillip's part. You just have to trust them that they will do their due diligence in managing your money. And so far it has been performing quite well, right? In fact, all the funds that are bought are actually in the green right now despite a very negative and bearish month of May. So I also wanted to provide a walkthrough of how you can set up your Phillip Smart Portfolio. So you can go and Google Phillip Smart Portfolio and click on I am ready. Of course, you can read on other of the FAQs before you do that. But for now, you can go and choose what is your priority. For me, it's more of a retirement. So after that, you can go and start a new portfolio and answer some of these risk questions, right? I think it's quite common on how you want to allocate your risk in terms of this kind of RoboAdvisor portfolio. So if you want to choose the highest risk portfolio, make sure that you select all these things, the questions, the answers that can enable you to choose the highest risk portfolio. Okay, don't cheat the system. If you really cannot stomach huge losses, I suggest you to go for the lowest risk options. So after that, you can click on preview portfolio and they will show you what are the funds that they can invest in. So if you answer the same questions with the answers that I have, it will give you an R3, aggressive and looking for growth. So do expect a higher fluctuation for the higher risk portfolios, but high risk come with high returns, right? Low risk also comes with low returns. And you will be investing mainly in the equity market instead of the bond market. So this is how your portfolio would look like. And you can read the terms and conditions and start with the amount that you want to invest. So for starters, you can put $300 because that is the minimum amount that you have to start with. So once you have accepted and proceed, then you can choose it by cash or SRS. For myself, I have chosen cash, but if you have SRS and you want to invest SRS, that's also up to you. And then you can go and sign up with SingPass, and once you have signed up with SingPass, you can use PayNow to go and transfer your funds into the Phillip Smart Portfolio. Alright, so for people who may prefer to have a mobile solution, you can download the Phillip My Wealth app from your iOS App Store or your Google Play Store. So once you have found your account, then you can go and sign in, and then you can actually go and track your portfolio using the Phillip Capital app. And over here is essentially a duplicate of what it will have on your wealth management platform online. And you can see for my smart portfolio, if I click onto it, it can show you what is my allocation right now. And if you click in further, what are the unit trusts that are currently invested in? So 24% Aberdeen Singapore equity, 24% Indonesia equity, 13% Malaysia, and 6% Thailand. The rest are in cash. So it is exactly the same information that you can find on the wealth management platform, just that it's more convenient for people who may want a mobile transaction or app to look at their holdings. So you can go and download this app if you want to have a view of what are your current holdings via a mobile platform. And you can go and look at what are the other functions here. Alright folks, welcome back. So you have seen my smart portfolio walkthrough, and what did they buy in? In fact, they avoided a lot of US investments during this month, and on hindsight that may be a good news because US has basically tanked the entire May. So I'm glad that they have at least taken this kind of conservative approach during May, and I'm confident to give them more time to see how they can perform over this very turbulent market in 2022. So if you do want to sign up for Phillip Smart Portfolio, you can use my referral link down below and sign up and start investing from as low as $300. Also, thank you to Phillip for sponsoring this video, although the performance and the returns and opinions are all my own because I put in my own money where my mouth is to prove to you guys whether Phillip is a good platform to invest in. With that, thank you for watching. My name is Christopher. This is Honey Money SG, steering young adults to financial independence.